further ado, Will, let's get into it right now, man. Topic number one, maybe the best part and my favorite part of that defense, that D-line. Will, what's up, man?
Yeah. How lucky are we that not only does the team have a good defense, but then on defensive line, the studs that they have on the ends, on those bookends, and then the solid players in the middle. Yeah, I don't know if you can name a better rotation of players than what Washington has. And that, we were so excited with Chase Young. There was all that talk, should they go after a quarterback? And, you saw how good Justin Herbert ended up being. But Young was everything that we could have hoped for and more. And now
more, yeah.
Here, he's still learning what he's doing out there. I mean, really, they've got some studs. And they're in such a fortunate position where not only are these players good, but they're all young. Everyone's on their rookie contract. They're cheap as can be for their production. We've got obviously Chase Young is the headline. Rookie of the year, number 2 overall pick. Philly found out in week 1 you cannot just one-on-one with him because he's too good. There was some time in the middle of the season, people were like, "Oh, is he hitting that rookie wall?" No, he was getting double and triple teamed. So every team recognized they had to focus on him. And then on the other side, the guy who led the team in sacks, Montez Sweat, who's come on 2 years in a row now. He really emerged at the end of 2019. He made some plays. Remember that Thanksgiving game against Dallas, picking it off in the air, running it in. I mean, he is only emerging. And then I think we talk about the line being the strength of the team, but the real strength then is those D tackles up the middle. Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, Tim Settle. And that line is actually, what's kind of scary is it's only getting better next year with the return of the injured Matt Ioannidis.
Yes.
Like they have a chance to be even better. The big question for me is I think they need to figure something out as a backup to both Chase Young and Montez Sweat. They had the injury this year of Ryan Kerrigan. He was able to be that guy to kind of teach and groom Chase Young while he didn't start. He definitely, gave him some mentorship in the locker room, probably on the practice field and stuff. But they need someone behind him. And I think they need to be looking at, if one of these guys goes down, do we really want Casey Toohill and James to be in there at a full-time? And both guys were 7th-round picks last year. Great to develop these guys, great. But you need, you're going to need that third person, that one, that solid backup. And then this is the part I love playing, armchair general manager, at draft time and at free agency time. I'll tell you this is the one time where I would not want to be in the job that these guys have. Where the only downside, it's kind of, I'm going to end my little segment on a little bit of a downer, is what do we do with these guys? Because some of them are coming up on contracts. I was looking through things. Jonathan Allen this is his coming up. 2021 is his last year. There's talk of they're probably going to extend him, but do you realize it's going to cost like $15, $16, $17 million a year to extend him? And I'm looking at some of his stats and wondering, when you compare some of his stats versus some of the other guys that are getting that much, Fletcher Cox, Aaron Darnold's getting $22 million a year. It's like, I love Jonathan Allen. I love his leadership. I know they love his leadership. I love that he's from Ashburn. He's a solid overall player, but is he worth $16 million a year? The year behind him is Deron Payne coming up, who he may not have as many stats, but he also is getting double teamed a lot. He's occupying guys. There's more to it being down in the trenches than just how many sacks do you have. What impact do you have on the run game? What other, how much attention are you getting? Tim Settle had 5 sacks this year in his 3rd season. This is his last year. He's not going to stay. Someone's going to pluck him, and they're going to give him more playing time, and you can't fault him. And so it really it's a tough decision on honestly, like, where do we go? Like, we can celebrate the defensive line. We're going to have a great one more year of some greatness, but what do we do with these guys, and who do we resign? Who do we keep? With the idea too is you can't lose Young and Sweat in a couple of years either. What do you all think? If we got Allen coming up as a his contract's ending, Deron Payne's the year after him, what do you think we should be doing? What should we be looking at?
Well, look, I want to honestly, we already know Chase and Montez Sweat. I think Matt Ioannidis, how he plays this year, because he's on a team-friendly contract, isn't he?
He has 2 more years of around, if you average it, $8 million a year. That's really
very friendly.
Yeah, and he's a solid D tackle that we didn't have this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with him, obviously Ron Settle, keep him. And Ab, I'm gonna send it to you on this. I don't know that I'm paying Jonathan Allen all that money.
Oh man, so this is a hard argument because this is the argument about winning now, and this is why it's so important to get a quarterback now, not groom a quarterback and everything like that, because we're literally on a win now, because we're not going to have these guys for a long time. No. And that's why we're on a win now kind of schedule. Like we need to do something now. And so to pay or not to pay, man, that's the argument. And honestly, to me, I think I'd push it out one more year. I think I'd wait to Deron Payne's time to start paying the defensive tackles, because I'm with you. I'm not even though we got the cap space and everything like that, I just don't think you do it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like we could touch up on a lot of other positions right now and everything like that. And this is we could backload the contract, you know what I'm saying? Make the majority of the contract due on its last year, where we might have to restructure it or something like that. But and then make most of his money bonuses and everything like that. We could make it work like that, but it's just it's hard for me to just sit there and be like, look, we're going to let you be 15 to 18 million against the cap right now. And that's hard for a defensive tackle when you have so many more needs and we're not excelling like we are on the defensive line in other positions. We're above average and running back, above average at our number one wide receiver. But other than that,
we need help. Yeah.
I mean, the defensive line is that we're only thing we're excelling in, and that's it. So, I just don't see it doing it right now.
Well, and the good thing is, this year, Jonathan Allen is on contract. It's his 5th year. He's $10 million. That's, for being a starter defensive tackle, that's manageable. You can do it. And I'm with you. I tried to take back a couple weeks ago. You told us to stop thinking with our heart. So as I was thinking about this, I said, you know what? Realistically, if you look at Jonathan Allen's, he since being a starter, he's 60 tackles a season. So every year, 62, 64, whatever. 60 tackles. He's gone from 8 sacks, 6 sacks. Last year, he only had 2 sacks. Now, he did lead the line in hurries and pressures, and so he's making an impact. But it's also like, if you think of Fletcher Cox, man, you think of, we're going up against the Eagles, and I sit there and worry, but man, I hope Brandon Sheriff can slow down Fletcher Cox. Aaron Donald was dominant when we played the Rams. That's not exactly Jonathan Allen's game. It's like he's a good player. He's that 8 million, 10 million. The thing about that he's got going for him versus Deron Payne is he wears the C on his jersey. If I can do this backwards, so that, and that matters though. Ron's looking for leaders in the locker room, and he is a leader. And so I think that's going to factor. I mean, I hear a lot of these reporters say he's coming back. They're going to extend him. But I'm with you where it's like, I don't know if that's the right deal. I think you should let him play out this 5th year. Basically, between him and Payne, it's sort of like one of you two is going to get extended. This is your year. let us know who is it going to be, because we're either going to let Allen walk, and then you extend Payne, and keep it going. It's like, let them duke it out.
Yeah.
And so they are interchangeable. Like, and I hate to say it like that, you know what I'm saying? Because both, it's to have both men is like, it's a blessing. It's a very big blessing to have both of them. But we can't pay everyone on the offensive line. You be stuck like Dallas is with their offensive line. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, like, they try to pay their whole offensive line, and you can't do that. They try to do that with all their offensive players, Cooper, Zeke, and Dak. Guess what? They can't pay Dak now. So
you can't pay everybody.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people teams and fans tend to forget the business side of this of this talk, and they're like, oh, Dan Snyder has all the money in the world, he can pay him. That's not what we're
how it works.
about.
We all have this
has
much
a lot
space. Of
money, but he has this much money to work with.
Right.
It's called a budget, and y'all don't know nothing about budget.
All right. So real quick, before we move on from this, guys, shout out Chris Thompson, who was definitely saying there might potentially be some guys coming into free agency. I looked at the list. We already know, certain guys are off the list, but then you have guys like maybe a Leonard Williams. We don't know how much he'll be. You have guys like Dominican Sousa free agent, Trent Murphy, who we used to have, Everson Griffin's out there, Alex Okafor. So we have a couple guys that we can look into to say, hey, maybe we can try it, maybe we can work it out. But I think the fact that we have at least another year, let's get what we can out of them, see how it goes. And a lot of it is how good they do this year. Let's be good. We had a great year last year, but now we know how good you are. You only rise up better. You can only get better. You know what I mean? If you digress, well, there's the door. I mean, let's be honest.
And that's what you got to do, is try and not pay premium to keep your own players. But sometimes you got to go into the free agency and be like, look, I'm going to look for a player that can do almost what you can do, but cheaper. So, you know what I'm saying? I can't replace you, but I'm going to try my damnedest too. So there's a fine balance of this conversation that people don't like to see or try to even bring into the conversation.
Well, I think, the best thing they could do is get into the situation they got with Tim Settle. He was rated to be this like second, third round pick, and they got him in the 5th round. He slid, and he's turned into a quality player that took some time to develop, and he's going to get paid now after this year because he'll have more opportunity. That's what they need to be looking at. They need to be looking at depth and realizing we're good now, we're good today, we're good next year, but then we're going to need to have some less expensive options that can, like you said, do almost exactly what you do at a fraction of the cost.
Exactly. And stay tuned with us in the coming weeks, because we will be doing sort of a mock draft in our way to kind of figure out where we go with that 19th pick, and then who might be that guy that's like a Tim Settle, or that's like a Settle, that we bring him in and he's projected a lot higher. Maybe he slides down to us, but he's a solid piece, a solid cog. Because like you said, Settle had 5 sacks this year? You know what I mean? Settle played a major role with that, filling in that gap that Matt Ioannidis left for us.
Yep.
So, definitely shout out to that. And we'll definitely be looking into that in the coming weeks.